Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Cameron Cowperthwaite about Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer Story, which is streaming now on Netflix. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Slide that in there.
Unreleased Pledge Reunion. Absolutely.
Unreleased Pledge Reunion.
It's good to see you again. I feel like this is like one of these kind of projects that everything about it is kind of a big deal. You know, Ryan Murphy, you know, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, the interest and appetite for true crime and true crime podcasts and everything. So very like early on, like what's kind of going through your head when you're like signed on and cast for this project, knowing it's a big landscape you're getting yourself into these days?
Honestly, it really felt like that too when we were there, because they were so meticulous with all the details, the sets, the costumes, what everyone looked like, sounded like you walked in to a place where you felt that everybody was dialing their ability up to 11.
Yep.
You know, because everyone does fantastic work on everything. Like Ryan does. Evan is so fantastic. The writers, but this was just on another playing field, and I think it kind of shows when you see the show unfold, like the meticulous nature, how detail oriented they were, and I think it comes from that care and consideration that Ryan had to present this from a different point of view, the viewpoint of the victims and the families and the communities affected by these acts. So I think we all felt that. We all felt the point of view, the need to develop these characters and present, you know, personalities. I found myself watching it, just mourning the lives that these people could have had they not encountered Dahmer. And I think that that's kind of what everybody carried with them throughout the show.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's one of those things where when it's first announced, it's like Evan Peters, you know, is going to play Jeffrey Dahmer. And I don't think you understand the landscape of what the show actually is, right? Like it's a lot more than just kind of another kind of story of Jeffrey Dahmer origin. It's like really tackling everything you just said, the families, the victims.
And I think that was something that, you know, I think Ryan presented. He wanted it to reach past just what we all know and the documentaries we've all seen and the interviews we've seen. And it's crazy that it's the fact that it's number one like in the world. I keep seeing tallies
like over
every day.
75 countries too, right?
I think it's at like 87 now or something, which is, it's amazing how far this story reaches. And actually, I got a message on Instagram the other day from a person whose dad knew Stephen Hicks and wrote to me and was like, hey, it was really cool. There were some of the things that you did that reminded him of Stephen. And it was really nice to see, because I think sometimes when people pass away, when you get the opportunity to watch a show or a movie about someone who's passed, it gives this sense of life again, a familiarity that I found to be stunning. I couldn't believe I was reading that message, honestly.
There's obviously going to be a lot of overwhelming feelings and pressure because of everything, kind of what you just said in the top of this interview. But I feel like people are very intrigued with true crime. Like people are very into it and everything. So not even talking about Dahmer specifically, I'm just talking about the genre, right, of like true crime. Is there pressure as an actor and a storyteller, in your opinion, to like dive into a project of that genre, knowing that there's a lot of eyeballs on it, knowing that, you know, like it has a big audience right away? Like, I'm just wondering if you feel like that.
I mean, for me, myself, I could put pressure on anything, because you just want it to be good. You want the work that you put in to be seen, and you want people to feel what you're feeling when you read the scripts or read the pages or know the story. But I'm a huge true crime fan as it stands, books, documentaries, all that kind of stuff. So I think I definitely gave myself a a real kick in the ass, so to speak, in terms of making sure that I showed up, prepped, ready. And everybody else did that too. And Ryan did such a great job of making sure that you were set up for success. Like he gave the whole cast, the whole crew, hair, makeup, props. I mean, everyone was set up to put their best foot forward here. And it was one of the best set experiences I've ever had.
Absolutely. What's the mindset going into a flashback scene and going into scenes where you know it like happened years and years ago? Does aesthetic come to mind? Does it how he presents it? Like, I'm just curious. That always intrigues me, right? Like, what's your mindset knowing that you're like part of like a flashback scene?
I try to play it as if it would be happening in real time. I think I try to approach it as if maybe this could be something that would have transpired if a different decision was made. So I try to be, because it keeps me from getting into this ethereal headspace. So I try to just be as grounded as possible. And especially working with Evan, I kind of found myself in a position where I was letting him kind of be in the driver's seat, because it's a very, very disturbing place to go. I mean, you're kind of you just as another human being, besides the acting, you feel for the human being that's taking this on. And he was so aware of not wanting to glorify anything. He was so aware of what could have gone wrong had it not been in such a wonderful, delicate hands, that I kind of found myself, at least in this specific position, just letting him navigate and just riding along with him and making sure that he felt seen and heard, and that I was present with him in the scenes. And I kind of let him run the gamut.
And this project, man, like, it's so funny you mentioned about the glorifying, because that's always my big thing with these projects. And they bring back, you know, origin stories of like serial killers and all this. And this one does not glorify Jeffrey Dahmer.
No.
I just want to let the record show this one does not.
No, not at all.
There could be ones out there that could come off maybe, but this one, like, not at all.
Yeah, I think, and Ryan spoke to Rashad Robinson, who is the head of the Color of Change organization. And he spoke to him to make sure that the victims, the family of the victims, the disenfranchised communities were all center stage here and didn't get overlooked or washed over by the zeitgeist that is Jeffrey Dahmer. Because I think the thing with true crime is that you're just fascinated by an individual that you can't even fathom exists, or behavior that drops your jaw. But I think what they did well was they didn't glorify it. We get it. He did these things, but he gave a voice to the voiceless, and that was paramount, I think, in the success of why this is so like common ground for everyone in terms of loving what they're watching, despite how hard and heavy it is.
Absolutely. I'd like to know a little bit in terms of what you could tell me about some of the conversations with Evan, with those scenes, with the project. What was it like working with him? What were some of those kind of specific conversations both of you had in regards to the scenes and everything?
Well, I've been lucky to, I've been very lucky that I've had the opportunity to work with Ryan
on past projects,
on multiple occasions. It's been such a blessing. The first time I got to work with him and meet him on set, you know, our vernacular, our language was just so common ground that I think it's been a lot of fun to grow up sort of in the Ryan Murphy Productions camp, because it was one of my like first things, and now all these years later to come back and all the stuff in between, it afforded me the opportunity to work with Evan again. So, because I had worked with him on Cult. So what was kind of nice was we had this shorthand already. I kind of understood how he worked, and what he wanted and what he kind of demanded on the day. And I work very similarly. Like Evan and I guess in terms of like our methodology of acting is very much parallel lanes. So I showed up and I walked into the makeup trailer. I was like, "What's up, man?" Because I hadn't seen him in like 3 years. And he was like, "Holy shit, dude!" And it was despite how heavy and dark it really was when we were doing the scenes. there was a nice rapport between us, between takes and between shots.
Yep.
And honestly, what was great was they let us go off script a lot. Like some of what you see in the show is just improv. It's just Evan and I between takes doing things, trying new things. And I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, oh my God, they kept a lot of this.
Sometimes it's like you never know until it's out. You're waiting, and then it's so crazy. No, absolutely. Hey Cam, it's spooky season is right around the corner, right? It's October pretty soon.
I keep seeing you on Halloween. It feels like.
You know what movie I'm gonna watch over and over again?
Is it Pledge?
It's Pledge. I just love that movie.
I swear to God, you are the biggest fan of this film. We would not have had the success we had if it was not for you. I just want you to know that I appreciate your hype train because I get hyped.
We did that thing that was never like posted, but yeah, we posted like recommendations and like memes. Yeah, it was like
I was all over your website. I was like, this gentleman is putting this in the spotlight in a way that I don't think anybody else did.
You are freaking psychopath in that movie.
Dude, I was on another plane. It
is that, you know why I like it? Because it literally is the most, like, it's one of the most, like, it's a disturbing horror movie. Like, it is so messed up.
It is. It's just horrible. But also when I watched it the first time, which I didn't expect, I think because it was a stressful shoot a little bit, that I didn't expect it to be so funny. Like,
yeah,
I knew Zach was funny when I met him and I had auditioned and we got to chatting before we started shooting, but I didn't expect to like laugh as much as I did, despite the gruesome and gory scenes.
If people haven't seen Pledge, it involves guys, some like, I don't know what do you call them? Social outcasts, nerds? What do you call them?
I think it's just like, I would say like people who need friends in a place that's new because they're just arrived at college. Fraternity. They're pledging find their community,
and they're pledging a fraternity involving your character, and you guys are on another level.
Yeah.
No, it was really
it's
cool.
So
like, it was on like IFC Midnight. Like it was an IFC. It was. I love that movie, and for people that are able to see it, I'm gonna post about it again because it's October. You know I will.
Now you're making me feel like I'm going to give it the rewatch as well. I might have a little screening with my friends.
What is it about? Because you've worked on like the American Horror Story and everything. What do you love about working in like the spooky like horror thriller genre? Like I know that's a big question because I feel like there's a lot, but can you narrow it down? Like, is there something like from an acting perspective you love the most about that genre?
Well, honestly, it's interesting because I've gotten this question before, and I find that like one of my favorite things, at least lately, is this elevated horror that like Ari Aster and Robert Eggers are like pushing into the mainstream, and like kind of going away from like the slasher gore aspect and making it this high level, highbrow, intellectual disguising of a different genre that kind of almost wouldn't get made. Like if you pitched a film about a family drama, you'd be like, oh, okay, great. But that's what Hereditary is. Like it is a family drama disguised in a horror film. So it becomes more downloadable for the audience. Like American Horror Story, I think one of the reasons that show is so successful and so good is they are disguising really deep, really intellectual, character-driven, dramatic elements and they're presenting it in this horror style that I think lends itself to why it's so deep.
You know which horror story like scared the crap out of me the most? Covenant. That one like scared me.
Oh yeah. They all make me sleep with the light on. I have to.
Yeah, but that one scared me because like I'm like maybe there's like people like maybe like there's like
could this be real?
Cameron, this was so fun catching up, man. Thank you so much for coming back on Popternative.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on, and it's always good to see you. I even remember the last time. The energy is still the same, and it's great, man. You're awesome.
I really appreciate that. You have an Instagram account people can keep up to date with, right?
Yeah, at Cameron Cowperthwaite, just my name.
Absolutely. And they could watch Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, streaming now on Netflix. And they got to watch Pledge. That's all I'm going to say. Spooky season, man.
Halloween's around the corner.
We got to do it. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. You can catch Cameron Cowperthwaite in Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Until next time, this is Cameron and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.